There seems to be two kinds of writers when it comes to the hero's journey. Those who like it,
I am nothing without you,
and those who don't.
Hacks!
Personally, I think it can be a great tool for writing, but like most things I talk about on this channel, it's just that, a tool. You don't have to use the hero's journey, but you should understand how it works. The hero's journey is a story structure first described by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Campbell analyzed ancient myth and modern literature and began to see a pattern emerge that he named
The Hero's Journey.
At its core, this describes a hero leaving their home, going to get something, and returning. This formula of going and returning, or there and back again, is universal in storytelling. The world is saturated with stories that follow Campbell's model from ancient myth to modern Hollywood. But its rise to fame over the past couple of decades has made some writers suspicious. Some see the hero's journey as a rule book for writing a story and dismiss it for being too restricting. But it doesn't have to be. The hero's journey is less a rule book and more a series of universal tropes. If you're writing in a specific genre, there are a series of tropes that you can use or subvert, and using tropes isn't a bad thing. Audiences actually expect them if you're writing in a genre that relies heavily on its tropes, like romance. If you try to write in a genre without knowing its tropes, you may end up creating something that genre's audience rejects. The hero's journey embodies the tropes that go beyond genre. These are the patterns that are fundamental to telling almost any story. Using story tropes can be important for getting the audience on your side. This is because audiences don't actually want something new. They want something familiar but with a twist. In Brandon Sanderson's online lecture series, he says that audiences are more forgiving to a writer if they've read and enjoyed their work before. If you come out of the gate breaking every established trope, it will turn people off. Using some of the fundamental patterns described in the hero's journey can keep your audience grounded and give you the leeway to bring them somewhere new. As with any art form, it's perfectly fine to break the status quo, but you need to know the rules before you do. Great musicians aren't ignorant of music theory. They take that structure, learn the rules, and know when to break them artfully. When a jazz musician improvises, they don't make up the tunes on a whim. They understand how everything works together. The piano player is playing those chords, and the bass player is playing those notes. They recognize the structure around them and play with it. Writers can use the hero's journey in the same way. Learn how the fundamentals work, and then you can break the rules in beautiful ways. Now, there are a couple different forms of the hero's journey out there. You could read Campbell's original The Hero with a Thousand Faces, but that book is dense. It probably isn't the place to start. Plus, it wasn't intended to be a guide for writers. Christopher Vogler has a book called The Writer's Journey that is a distillation of Campbell's ideas, but for writers, and it is a fantastic resource. It explains how each step of the journey functions in a story and how it's commonly used. Blake Snyder includes a beat sheet in his book Save the Cat. This form of the hero's journey is optimized for screenwriters, and Hollywood loves the hero's journey. This is a good tool for outlining a script, especially if you're trying to sell it. My favorite of the various forms is Dan Harmon's Story Circle. Most versions of the hero's journey focus on the specific story beats, but Harmon's focuses more on the general momentum of the story. Where is it going and why? It also has this beautiful symmetry for visualizing how the character changes throughout the story. When I first learned about the hero's journey, it was incredibly confusing. I couldn't understand how these story beats were as omnipresent as I was being told. I spent months analyzing every story I consumed to see if it fit and where the various steps were. Spoiler alert, they all fit. It gave me a deeper understanding of how to use the hero's journey, but it was a ton of work. I'm gonna save you some time. In these next few videos, I'm going to go through the hero's journey and explain how each step is used, providing plenty of examples along the way. The hero's journey can be an incredibly powerful writing tool. Learning about it can give you the foresight to see where your story might need to go, or the hindsight to fix a story that isn't quite working. Learn the rules and learn when to break them, like the jazz greats that came before you. Thanks for watching.